Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari. Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana. Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana. Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Radha Kala Chanji Radha Kala Chanji Radhe. Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtuki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 20. Yes, text 23. It's actually 24 to 26, but we will read it is 24 to 26 actually. Yeah, because the purport is big there. But for the people, they can go to text at the next one. But people can only read the first one, so I will read the whole. You can display the verse, yeah. So, Chakram Dakshine Hastya Padma Kosho Padayo Ije Mahabhishekena Shobishtiko Dhirad Vibhuhu Pancha Sata Medhyair Ganga Yamanuvajibi Mamateyam Purodhaya Yamunam Anucha Prabhu Ashtasaptati Medhaswan Babanda Pradadadvasu Bharatasya hi Daushmanter Agni Sachi Guneschitaha Sahasram Badvasho Yasmin Brahmana Gavibhijare. You can just, show the first four because that is easy for people to read. So, anyone? Yeah. Chakram dakshina hastesya padmakosho sapadayo ije mahabhishekena sobhikshito dhirayad vibhu chakshe dakshine hastasya padmakosho sapadayo ije mahabhishekena sobhikshito dhirad vibhu. Chakram dakshina hastesya padmakosho padayo ije mahabhishekena sobhikshito dhirad vibhu. Chakram dakshina hastesya padmakosho padayo ije mahabhishekena sobhishto vidharad vibhu. Chakram dakshina hastesya padmakosho padayo ije mahabhishekena sobhishto virad vibhu. Anyone else or okay? I'll read the transliteration of all. Chakram, the mark of Krishna's disc. Dakshina haste, on the palm of the right hand. Asya, of him Bharata. Padma koshaha, the mark of the whirl of a lotus. Asya, of him Padayo, on the soles of the feet. Ije, worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Maha Abhishekena, by a grand Vedic ritualistic ceremony. Saha, he Maharaj Bharata. Abhikshitaha, being promoted. Adhirat, to the topmost position of a ruler. Vibhuhu, the master of everything. Pancha Panchasata, 55. Medhyai, fit for sacrifices. Gangayamanu, from the mouth of the Ganges to the source. Vajibihi, with horses. Mamateyam, the great sage Bhrugu. Purodaya, making him the great priest. Yamunam, on the bank of the Yamuna. Anu, in regular order. Cha, also. Prabhu, the Supreme Master Maharaja Bharata. Ashtasaptati, 78. Medha Aswan, horses fit for sacrifices. Babhanda, he bound. Pradatat, gave in charity. Vasu, riches. Bharatasya, of Maharaj Bharata. He, indeed. Daushamante, the son of Maharaja Dushmanta. Agnihi, the sacrificial fire. Sachi Gune, on an excellent site. Chitaha, established. Sahasram, thousands. Badvasaha, by the number of one Badva equals 13,084. Yasmin, in which sacrifices, Brahmanaha, of all the Brahmanas present, Gaha, the cows, Vibhijire, received their respective share. Translation and puppet by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj Bharata, the son of Dushmanta, had the mark of Lord Krishna's disc on the palm of his right hand, and yet the mark of a lotus whirl on the soles of his feet. By worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead with a grand ritualistic ceremony, he became the emperor and master of the entire world. Then, under the priesthood of Mamateya, Bhrigu Muni, he performed 55 horse sacrifices on the banks of the Ganges, beginning from its mouth and ending at its source, and 78 horse sacrifices on the bank of the Yamuna, beginning from the confluence of Prayaga and ending at the source. He established the sacrificial fire on an excellent site, and he distributed great wealth to the Brahmanas. Indeed, he distributed so many cows that each of thousands of Brahmanas had one Badva as his share. Purport: as indicated here by the words, Daushmanter Agni Sachi Gunechitaha, Bharata, the son of Maharaj Dushmanta, arranged for many ritualistic ceremonies all over the world, especially all over India on the banks of the Ganges and Yamuna, from the mouth to the source, and all such sacrifices were performed in very distinguished places. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Yagnarthat Karmano Yantara Loko Yam Karma Bandhanaha. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed, otherwise work binds one to this material world. Everyone should engage in the performance of yajna, and the sacrificial fire should be ignited everywhere. The entire purpose being to make people happy, prosperous, and progressive in spiritual life. Of course, these things were possible before the beginning of Kali Yuga, because there were qualified Brahmanas who could perform such yajnas. For present, however, the Brahma Vaivarta Puran enjoins Ashwamedam Gavalambham Sanyasam Paitkritam Devarena Sutotpatim Kalo Pancha Vivarjaret. In the age of Kali, 5 acts are forbidden: offering a horse in sacrifice, offering a cow in sacrifice, accepting sannyasa order, oblations, offering oblations to the flesh of the forefathers, and begetting children in the wife of one's brother. In this age, such yajnas such as Ashwamedha Yajna and Gomedha Yajna are impossible to perform because there are neither sufficient riches nor qualified Brahmanas. This verse says, Mamateyam Purodhaya. Maharaj Bharata engaged the son of Mamata, Bhrigu Muni, to take charge of performing such yajna. Now, however, such Brahmanas are impossible to find. Therefore, Shastras recommend Yagnahi Sankirta Prayer Yajantihi Sumedasaha. Those who are intelligent should perform the Sankirta Yajna inaugurated by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishna Varnam Tushakrisham Sangopangastra Parshadam Yagne Sankirtana Prayer Yajantihi Sumedasaha. In the age of Kali, people endowed with sufficient intelligence will worship the Lord, who is accompanied by his associates, by performance of Sankirti Yajna. Yajna must be performed, for otherwise people will be entangled in sinful activities and will suffer immensely. Therefore, the Krishna conscious movement has taken the charge of introducing the chanting of Hare Krishna all over the world. This Hare Krishna movement is also called Yajna, but without the difficulties involved in securing paraphernalia and qualified Brahmanas. This congregational chanting can be performed anywhere and everywhere. If people somehow or other assemble together and are induced to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, all the purposes of yajna will be fulfilled. The first purpose is that there must be sufficient rain, for without rain there cannot be any produce. Annad Bhavanti Bhutani Parjanyad Anasambhavaha. all our necessities can be produced simply by rainfall. Kamam Vavarsha Paranjayaha. And the earth is the global source of all necessity. Sarva Kama Duggamahi. In conclusion, therefore, in the age of Kali, people all over the world should refrain from the four principles of sinful life: illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling. And in a pure state of existence, should perform the simple yajna of chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Then the earth will certainly produce all the necessities of life, and people will be happy economically, politically, socially, religiously, and culturally. Everything will be in a proper order. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yenam Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So we can see in this purport that in the shloka that Maharaja Bharata actually performs the Ashwamedha Yajna and Gomedha Yajna in all the different places. But as Prabhupada has said, and we know in Kali Yuga that the most effective way of doing our sacrifice, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, we had Gita Jayanti recently, that yat karosi adayasnasi yat juhosi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurusva madarpanam, that everything you do as a sacrifice unto me. Yajna is the actual essence of life. Without sacrifice, penance, without that, as even Prabhupada says, and whether we do Sankirta Yajna, that is an offering to Sri Krishna. Without this, even if we do good karma, we will incur reactions to them because we will enjoy the fruits of those activities. That is why Krishna tells Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharma Paridyagyam Mamekam Sharanam Vrajaha. You surrender everything unto me, even every activity, even devotional service. Even if you fight, you do for me. It is very clear. In that day in the Bhagavad Gita, I spoke a little bit that Arjuna wanted to actually get away from his activity of doing his dharma, his yajna, his actual, as a Kshatriya dharma, his sacrifice and activity was to fight. But he decided, he thought he should not fight and he should run away from the activity. Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, in the last 10 shlokas, he tells Arjuna that even if you don't fight, by your Kshatriya dharma, you will be made to fight. You are trained like this. Sometimes for us, Arjuna is not an ordinary personality, but for all of us, we have prarabdha karma. We are either born, I may look like this because whatever my prarabdha karma and desire was. So similarly, sometimes we come across situations where we want to do devotional service, or something else. And when Krishna directly comes, but if we decide to decline it, then it is like saying we are escaping our responsibility. Escaping our activity and responsibility means you will incur more karma. That is what even Krishna tells Arjuna. By you not fighting, Arjuna did not want to face Bhishma Pitama. He didn't want to kill his relatives. But that was the position. It is an example for us. Bhagavad Gita is spoken by Krishna to Arjuna to make us understand, to apply this in our day-to-day lives. Sometimes some people have to abandon some situations, whether it is family or other unfavorable situations in their life or associations. Now, if one thinks that when Krishna is giving that and they shouldn't do it, then one will incur tenfold more. It is like you cannot cheat karma. As we know that many situations, Hiranyakashipu, he wanted to cheat death. He wanted to cheat karma. But Krishna knows everything. He decided how, when the time and circumstance will come. So this applies to us actually, that we cannot absolve our responsibility of karma, or sometimes when something is directly given by Kalachandji, for example, for those who are here or associate who are listening, sometimes something comes as a gift from Kalachandji, a service or something else. But if we decide to decline it, now the question will come is, I will use my intelligence. So intelligence can be used, but provided it is known that is your intelligence in the right mode itself. If that is why we say Cheto Darpana Marjanam. one nice one nice shloka is written. As we know, many people may know what Tulsidas has written as Hanuman Chalisa, but he chants there as a service to his guru. As we say, why we surrender to Acharya, he says, Sri Guru Charana Saroja Saja Nijamana Mukura Viraja. So he says, my mind is actually not filled. I am only wanting blessing of the dust of my lotus feet of my spiritual master. So similarly, we can see that how even Maharata Maharaj, of course, as his prarabdha karma, he has the auspicious marks of Sudarshana Chakra on his right hand, and he worships the feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is why it is said that offering sacrifice, devotional service to the feet of the spiritual master, to Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, we may not desire becoming an emperor, but in even to do devotional service and actually to engage ourselves in the right way, it is very important to understand. Now, one important aspect of worshipping Sri Krishna is called Anjali. So, what is Anjali actually? Anjali means bowing down to Sri Krishna, right? When we come to the temple, we fold our hands. Lord Krishna's hands are always, we say, is as though he may be holding the flute, but his blessing for his devotees is always by his right hand. It is called Abhayavastham. But for us, it is actually bowing down. Now the question is, why is it such a simplistic activity? Because it shows that we are the servant. When we bow down, we hold our hands in front of Sri Krishna. We show the simplicity and the superiority of who Sri Krishna is actually. Now, the other question is this, is when we bow down and we worship Sri Krishna with our folded hands, how do we say that, for example, it helps us? So, there is no restriction when we want to fold our hands. Folding of hands may be a physical activity, but it is actually Atma Samarpanam. It is from within. There is no restriction. There is no restriction how much time. It destroys all kinds of sins. It confers all kinds of auspiciousness. It protects, it gives us the ability that he will protect us. Even if you see, when Arjuna is actually hearing Bhagavad Gita, afterwards, he actually goes and he holds his hands to Krishna. If you see the picture, and he says, you tell me what to do. So, this Anjali is a very important aspect of devotional service. And what is the 4 important points which come out of it? Is about the firmness of conviction that we are always the servants to Sri Krishna. We don't desire anything else than his protection. The firmness of conviction is what is important actually. So as we know, we see Hanuman, one bhakta, stalwart devotee of Lord Rama. He is always with his folded hands, because his firmness of conviction is to only serve Sri Rama's feet, right? Many people who worship Lord Hanuman, which is okay, as a Vaishnava he is, there is a nice shloka that says, Tumare bhajan Ram ko pave. So those who worship the servant of the servant, it is also indicated. Why we say we should serve our spiritual master? Why we should actually serve, the devotees? Because those who serve Krishna directly, they are the ones who actually understand the bhavam of service actually. So this is very thing. See, in Mukunda Mala Stotra, Kulashekara Alvar has written very nicely. He says, Karacharana saroje kantiman netra mine Shramamushi bhuja vichi vyakule aghada marge Hari sarasi vighayapiya tejo jaulagham Bhavamaru parikhina khedamadya tvajami. So says, Kulashekara describes That see the meditation, why we say the meditation on the limbs of the Lord is so beautiful, because it is equivalent to, as we sang in the morning, we sing Samshara Dava Nalalida Loka. In this burning fire of material existence, the meditation on the beautiful limbs of Sri Krishna is an invigorating experience, just like we take a dip in a cool pond in the middle of the summer. So he compares the Lord's hands and feet. So we see Bharata Maharaj, he describes, he says how the hands and lords of the feet are to blooming lotuses in the cool pond. Actually, that is why the soles and feet of Sri Krishna are with a pinkish hue. They actually describe how the lotus is. I mean, the fish swimming, the eyes of the Lord is just like that. The waves in the pond remind him, Kulashekar Alvar says in Mukundamala Stotra, like the inviting shoulders. Why the waves? Because waves will end. If you go into a river sometimes, the wave will wrap us. So similarly, we desire for the embrace of Sri Krishna, his kataksham. He is reminded of this Bhagavat Tattvam when he thinks about this depth of the font. And this refreshing and joying experience of immersing in that pond is called as Hari. And drinking its nourishing nectar from the water makes it incomparable. It is like, if you go to a desert and you see a mirage, when you see the mirage, you get actually a sense of bliss. But what if actually you go to an oasis? So similarly, in this Tapatrayam, we say Adhyatmika, Adi Bhautika, Adi Devika. Dipping in the ocean of Hari's beauty is the only way to quench this tapas actually. So Kulashekara Alvas describes further that the dip in this cool emerald pond is actually cured him of his afflictions. So you can see how in Mukundamala Stotra, Kulashekara describes how is this cool emerald pond. I mean, the sight of it itself is beautiful. Similarly, the sight of the limbs of Lord Krishna, his beautiful complexion and his curly locks, just like Kalachanji is, we can see that beauty is the only thing which can keep our mind and our heart attracted to him. This is actually called real devotional service actually. If we look at the soles of the feet, actually, why it is said about these waves. So there is another nice slokam which says that Vishnu padam gativasadha partijantam lokeshu nithya vishameshu sama pracharam anvetu marthati dhrumathakhilai surendra ganga khatam u garuda dhwaja paduketvam. So see, when Ganges actually flowed, if you see, Ganges is such a huge river, though it may seem like waves, it doesn't have waves. Because when Ganges actually comes from all the way from the heavenly planets, it is Lord Shiva who takes us on its mats. And actually because of that force, the waves is gone. Similarly, the waves are actually kind of helping us remove these anarthas from us. That is why it is said that how Ganges can be compared to you. Ganges originated from Sri Krishna's feet, right? It flows through all the high and low plateaus. But similarly, it is always coming and touching the feet. This is why it is said that Ganges is always purifying. So we can see that the Paduka, the slipper of the Lord, which is always in contact, is always also pure. Ganges is itself purified because it is being touched by Lord's feet. So we can see that how in Kali Yuga, Sankirtiya Yagya, chanting the holy names and association is the only way we can purify ourselves. Sometimes some association has to be let go, and giving up something which is coming directly from Sri Krishna should not be abandoned. Because if naturally, we can say prarabdha karma is still present. People question that yes, we may chant and everything, but if that is the case, How come that we are still suffering? Prarabdha karma only is removed when we quit our body and we go back to his abode. There should be nothing, no karma will be left. Even neither good, what aslishyava padaratam pinashtumam. Now, I said that day too, Arjuna surrendered to Krishna after hearing Bhagavad Gita, but he still lost Abhimanyu. Draupadi was surrendered, but Ashwatthama still came and killed her 5 sons. Surrender means accepting the pain, not running away from the pain. Actually, yes, it is a very high philosophy to say that, but if you try to run away from it, as we know, Krishna is cheater of cheater. And it is not Krishna. Yes, he is control of everything. All the other devatas and planets which are there, they are his servants. They will figure out a way that you have to explain. So for example, right, there are many people, we say, we want to trick and we want to save ourselves. But karma has a way of getting. So, but as Bhagavatas or those who are aspirant Bhagavatas, one should understand, we are not saying one should not be cognizant enough to avoid difficulties. But to say that I will absolve from responsibility and say I will take an easy path out. Very practical example is Srila Prabhupada. Of course, he is an Acharya, he is a Nitya Siddha, he is not an ordinary personality. Srila Prabhupada could have said, I could have stayed in Vrindavan and chanted and did bhajana kriya. But he still decided to come on Jaladuta, as we know, and he still had heart attacks. So, in spite of having heart attack, Prabhupada chose to show example to us, actually, that it may look materially to other people, but spiritually it is an example to us that if I have to take difficulty to serve Krishna, then I am ready to take it, actually. This is called Acharya's thinking. We should follow in the footsteps. In our practical day-to-day life or in reality of life, sometimes we will have to actually, when something is given by Sri Krishna himself, by Kalachandji, we should not push it away. Pushing it away means you are leaving the opportunity which is helping you actually resolve your karma which is present. So as Krishna says to Arjuna, you cannot run away from karma. You have to face it. And for us as Bhagavatas and as humility, we say, why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, Tranadapi Sunichena. Without humility, we will not accept that karma is going to happen. If we don't have humility, we will say we want to do something to trick the situation. So it is not very easy. So the only thing, that is why Prabhupada has said, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and in this Kali Yuga, it says, Nam Nam Akari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktihi. The chanting his name and accepting that may come in that service of Krishna. If that gift is from Sri Krishna or from Kalachandji directly, then one should actually take it as a blessing, actually. Many of us and many people who come and do service and all over, I won't say just this temple, many stalwart acharyas and bhagavatas around the world, they do this. And that is the way to understand that difficulty may be there, but we should always be surrendered and serve Sri Krishna. So I'll end today's class. It's 8:15. If any questions or comments, let's see. Yes, Mataji.
Thank you for nice class, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Actually, I have a question about one of the lines in the purport. Everyone should engage in performance of yajna and the sacrificial fire should be ignited everywhere. The entire purpose of being to make people happy, prosperous and progressive in spiritual life. And of course, in this purport, Prabhupada gives the definition for yajna as Sankirtan yajna, like we need to go out and chant. And I was also wondering, like this sentence which says to make people progressive in spiritual life. So you think any small act which helps people come closer to Krishna in spiritual life is also considered as yajna, can be considered as sacrifice?
Yes, provided, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, yad Yadasnosi yajjo yad I just forgot what he says is everything you do yad karosi yad asnasi yad juhosi dadasi yad tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurusva madarpanam. So which means, see, the as first thing is in practical real life, one should understand. That is why we start from philosophy of Jivatma, Paramatma, and everything. And once they realize to that, then every activity should be in that done actually, but without expectation of return. It is okay. It will take time. There are different stages for every person, for every Jivatma. I won't say, when I say Jivatma, I don't want to say human beings. I would say every sentiment beings in this world. The cow also gives us milk without, it is a sacrifice only, na? It is also doing. It is not expecting anything in return. We are drinking milk, right? It is also doing. So that understanding itself should come. Before we think about our sacrifice, we should think about what other people are doing for us, right? Even in a family, anything. So, but yes, every small activity should be geared towards that. But it can only come with practice. That is why we say from a young age, childhood, we associate with Bhagavatas, we see our Acharya, spiritual master, other people do. But you are right, Mataji, that every small, it is towards yajna. If it is not done, then it will incur some activity, it will go into, I'm not saying tamo, rajo or sattvas. Because as Krishna again, I mean, just to summarize in Bhagavad Gita, he says there are different kinds of sacrifice. Sacrifice is not considered just fire sacrifice. You know, it could be work, it could be any physical, mental activity as well. Any activity of itself is a karma, but that should be done towards yajna.
So, and my other question is, you mentioned the attitude with which we are doing, then it qualifies as yajna. If it's only for sake of Krishna, only to help someone progress in Krishna consciousness. But sometimes there are some things which are very subtle. Even we don't realize, we are deriving some sense gratification from it. So we help someone, we help preach Krishna consciousness, makes us happy. There's some subtle things. So you think like we pray to Krishna, okay, I want to do this for you, but there might be some subtle things which subtle sense gratification I'm deriving from it. So please help me. So you think that should be still
it is always going to be there. Once we have taken birth here, it is impossible to have, if we are 100% pure, we would not have taken birth. That is the first understanding. I have got a body because of my karma and desire, as Krishna says. So once we come to that realization, Prabhupada has given an example, right? If someone wants to eat prasadam, let's say gulab jamun, you have some sense gratification. Make it, offer to Krishna. Slowly you will get purified, right? And naturally, certain things, some anarthas will, I'm just saying, many things will go away. Similarly, there are certain things will happen, and eventually one will come to that realization. But that eventual realization should also be done with surrender. You, as you correctly said, Mataji, you pray, you help me. When it will happen, we should leave it to him. Now, of course, as I gave the example, if something is coming directly from Kalachandji and he's telling you and you push it away, and then you can't help it. I'm just giving an example, right? So, and then of course, when you want to use that, then you should interact with those people who are close to Krishna, right? Or like that. If you believe I am got enough knowledge and think right, then Krishna also knows, na? He is present inside all of us. He knows how sincere we are. If you're not sincere, okay. And of course, there is no unsuccessful yoga, as he said. Then the question is how soon we want to get closer to him. But you are right, we have to pray to him and we have to be humble enough. Then slowly we will come eventually. Because you are right, in reality of life, practicality of life, we have family, we have kids, everything else. I'm saying in a material universe, there are things which will be responsibilities will be there. But slowly it will be geared towards that actually. And the humility is to understand that, like I have said this many times, when you breathe, only so many organisms are dying. That is karma. We accept it. We accept that, we should accept that there will be reaction for that. Because when you said we say Ashlishyava Padaratam Pinashtumam, why to worry? If not this time, some other time I will go back. No? That's how we have to think. So, no, it's okay. Thank you. Yes.
I was with devotee out of Acharya one time on a train between New Delhi and Bombay. And he was reading the Bhagavatam and he came to this realization. He said that all these stories are about people, devotees, going through a life of excitement or something. He said that a lot of times that we don't hear about them until their last 3 lifetimes. So it's, like there's there was Bharat Maharaj, and then he became Jud, the deer, and then Jud Bharat, King Chitraketu became Vritasura.
Correct, yes.
So all these different personalities, they went through, these stories that we went through, that we've heard. And it always ends up at, they take complete shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord. So so Prabhupada keeps on repeating that phrase, they took complete shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord. So what does that mean? How do you explain it? What does it mean to take complete shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord? Does it mean you have to be on the altar and you have to kind of like put your head under the feet? Or
well, I mean, that is Sharanagati. Shelter of lotus feet of Lord is only defined by Sharanagati, and that is Angams, which is always mentioned is Anukula Sankalpa, Pratikulpa Varjanam, Gotuturpa Varanam, Karpanyam, Mahavishwasam. They are the 5 Angams, which is described by Shastra. Now, other practices, as Prabhuji, as you said, right, Anukulya Sankalpasya means going away from unfavorable things, doing favorable things. Surrender to Lord, as you explained, Prabhuji, Bharata Maharaj, or even Chitraketu, we say Gajendra, for example, right? Or even, let's say, I use the word example of Draupadi or Arjuna, right? Surrender means whatever, I am ready to face my karma, not cheat karma. Surrender means any difficulty comes, I am only holding your feet. That is what it is there. It is like the example is given in Shastra that a tiger or a lion mother lifts the cub by the neck. That's it. The cub doesn't know anything else. If you have seen ever, it just lifts. It doesn't, it's helpless. I am like that. That is called surrender. That is the absolute surrender. Draupadi, after everything else, she lost the 5 sons. Right? Yes, it is an example for us. But she still surrendered. Yes, there was an aspect of dharma where Ashwatthama had to be punished and everything. But she accepted the pain. Surrender means accepting. Like I used a stalwart example, Srila Prabhupada, right? It may be looking materially, he got heart attack. For us, to show example to us, that the true devotee of the Lord is ready to undertake that pain no matter what. That is called surrender. And that only happens when we are not attached to the body. For example, Prahlada Maharaj, he was dropped from the mountain. He was given because he did not associate with the body. Because we associate with our body, we feel pain. Like for example, we are all wearing winter clothes today, right? Very practical, scientific example. Because our body is attached. We are attached to our body, our Jivatma. the yogis, many of them, as we know, Prabhuji, right, in Himalayas and many other places, who have yogic siddhis, where they are pious. They can go in Himalayas, and today also we know that Hanuman and Vyasa, many other people are still there. They don't wear winter clothes because they are not attached to the body. Our body, adhyatmika, we say adhyatmika, klesha, adi bhautika, adi devika. Adi devika means, this is all given by demigods. This sun, rain, this cold sun, everything. So because of that, we are attached. The day we don't have attachment, then we will not feel pain. We will take it as service. Hanuman lifted the Parvata to get for Lakshmana, right? The Sanjeevani. His strength only comes from Sri Rama, not his personal strength. So even Prabhupada, or we say all other acharyas who are present, their strength comes from serving their Guru and belief in Guru and believing in the holy name of Sri Krishna. So that is really, it is not easy. So, and there are many, many examples we can go about Sharanagati, right? So as when Vibhishana came to give Sharanagati, to surrender, then Sri Rama says, Sakrideva prapannaya tavasmiti cha yachate abhayam sarva bhutebhyo dadami yatad vritamema. Abhayam sarva bhutebhyo. Without I give you word, no fear. That's what it is. That is called surrender. The best example is that cub. No fear. Our mind is conditioned because of our past prarabdha karma and everything that we will have. And it is part and parcel. We cannot come from today to there. And as Prabhuji, as you correctly said, Maharaj Bharata got attached to the deer, right? That karma, he was surrendered. Then he became a deer and then he became Jada Bharata, right? That as Krishna says, there is no unsuccessful yogi. He will always come. He will preserve what is there. But from there we will go there. So he understood that the pain where people were, he understood that at Jada Bharata that people were hurling insults at him and called him all this stuff. But he was not attached because his focus was only on Sri Krishna's feet. So it is a very deep topic. It's a great question you're asking, Prabhuji, but surrender to lotus feet means accepting whatever comes, be it. Like Arjuna, he lost Abhimanyu, right? He still accepted it. Yes, as a Kshatriya dharma, he had to take punishment to Jayadratha. But pain is pain, right? So he accepted the pain. It is not easy, Prabhuji. I mean, it's a very good question you're asking. The only way is to chant Bhagavan Sri Krishna's name, chant his holy name. Yes, our own spiritual practice is also important. Meditation, our day-to-day life, association with devotees is there. But Atma Samarpanam, the surrender to feet is Atma Samarpanam, is from within. Physical activity is one story, we do devotional service, but from within, as Mataji also asked Yagya, it is from within. That it has to come from within, and it will only come with Cheto Darpana Marjanam. That's why the stages of Saranagati, as what you're asking, is described by all acharyas in Shastra is Anukulya Sankalpaspe, Pratikulpa Varjanam, Gotrutva Varanam, Nikshayam, Karpanyam, and Mahavishwasam. Mahavishwasam is the final stage. Like stalwart, gopis, gopikas, Prahlada, they are the examples we can say. But no, they don't have attachment to the body. So we have attachment, or I have attachment. I am open to say. Sorry, Prabhuji, you want to? Yes.
Thank you very much, Vishnu Charan Prabhu, for the very nice class. I am, whenever, that obviously for a good reason, Prabhupada put so much emphasis on the chanting of the holy name. And I love in the purport how clearly he explains and shows how it's, we can't do all of these other processes in Kali Yuga. And so sometimes, thinking we're all coming together, chanting the holy name, and at least speaking for myself, I'm still struggling with, controlling my senses, all of these things. And I remember Giriraj Maharaj gave this nice class a few years back during an initiation. And during the class, it was an initiation class, he went through all the 10 offenses. There's it's Canto 3, Chapter 15, verse 25, where it goes through Prabhupada goes through all the 10 offenses in the purport to this verse. And at the end of it, it says that, if we're chanting and we're not developing the symptoms of happiness and tears in the eyes by chanting the glories of the Lord, those that do that are eligible to enter the kingdom of God. And in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that if one does not develop these symptoms while chanting Hare Krishna, it is to be understood that he is still offensive. And Chaitanya Charitamrita suggests a nice remedy in this connection. There it is said in verse 31, chapter 8 of Adi Leela, that if anyone takes shelter of Lord Chaitanya and just chants the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, he becomes freed from all offenses. So it was just, I was reflecting on this and remembering and just wanted to share. And thank you so much for a very nice class.
No, very nice. And it is true. It should happen, and that's what Prabhupada is. It's a very nice thing. I've read it once before, and it's correct because chant Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's name, but again, Prabhupada also mentions that after the elephant takes bath and again you keep doing, it's a constant process. So it will have effect, 100%. Like in this verse also, the Ganges is very purifying, no doubt. But there is no question of Ganges' purity. But our mind keeps polluted. So that is why it is continuously said, till we come to that stage, we will continue this. And the end stage is to actually quit the body. It is the end stage. One should not think that this is the place to be. Yes, we have to be surrendered enough as our karma is there, we have to be here. But the surrender means leave it to him. So that's also. And of course, our senses are there, just like to say is, if we are engaged in service of Krishna, Kalachanji, then naturally in contact with Bhagavatas, then that is the right way actually to improve our spiritual life. Actually, that should be there. So anyway, it's 8:30. I should end the class to respect time. So thank you for the opportunity. Rindraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.